Hey everyone, this is Gary from My Sacred Honor. 80 years ago, America was quite a different place. There were assholes and bad guys and such, but murders weren't so commonplace. And people generally knew their neighbors and they would help one another out, even if they were Catholics and Protestants. In this country, we've always helped one another. Um, and there was a sense of right and wrong and a sense of law and a sense that justice would be carried out. Yeah, it had some problems and like all civilizations do, but all in all I think it was a way better place. The men, for instance, that fought World War II, you ever seen Private Ryan? I've read enough to know that it was pretty much a factual type of storming the beach. Those men who were actually boys, 18, 20 years old, would be ordered to get off of those uh, landing boats, and they would get off and take a bullet in the chest and just die. And the next one would get off, and the next one would get off, until the guys were reloading and one would make it, and they'd storm the hill and take the hill. And that's what would happen. Fast forward to today, we have some great people in the military, but our society is sick. Our society is filthy. Our children don't look up to see what they can achieve. They look back, they look into the ghetto, and they wear their pants down to their ankles. They smoke pot. They're spoiled. Most of the kids in our high school drive a better car than I do. They're spoiled little brats. They don't know how to work. In fact, they won't work. And now they think homosexuality is great. It's a great lifestyle. It just depends on how you're born. I didn't grow up that way. I was always told that homosexuality was an abomination and a disgusting lifestyle. And a lot of you are going, God, how bigoted. Call it what you want. In my mind's eye and my logic, I see no difference between homosexuality and pedophilia and bestiality. It's all the same. It's just a sexual abnormality to me. You ask yourself, well, how can you think that? Well, because you tell me the difference between the mechanism that makes a man attracted to a man, or a woman attracted to a woman, than a man attracted to a beast, or a man attracted to a boy. You tell me the difference, because you can interview gay people and they will swear to you that they were born that way. And you can also interview child pedophilias and see if they can be healed. And 99% of the time, they can't. They will always be attracted to young kids. Were they born that way? And if they were born that way, are they wrong? Or is it just a society thing? You see, this is the problem with anthropology. It's all cultural. It's like the Prime Directive from Star Trek. It's all bullshit. I like to cut it where the rubber meets the road. This is how it is. There is man and woman. That's logical. There is a logical conclusion to the union. It all fits. I'm never going to change my mind. It's the way it is. And when they allow the homosexuals to serve openly in the military, it will cause as much problems as, nobody talks about it, but women in the military. Women on the ships that come back knocked up about 50% of the time. 50% of the time they're coming back knocked up, and they have abortions, which is also on our heads. So we kill the babies, we allow them to be created, then we come back, we pay for the abortions, and they kill the babies. Our whole society is sick right now. Our children's minds are polluted. Nobody is discussing what is happening in our society. You say, well, Gary Nambla is, pedophilia and all that. That's never going to happen. No. And then yet, here's Barack Obama has a czar who says one of his greatest influence, the people that he admires the most, is a guy from NAMBLA, North American Man-Boy Love Association, NAMBLA. It's already crept in. You just don't see it because it's It's like a tide. I mean, if the tide came in like a tsunami, man, nobody would hang at the beach. But it doesn't. It creeps in. And that's what's happened with this sort of thing. This is what's happened with our kids walking around like they, I don't. Their minds, they're so self-centered. There are other people in the world that, at 14 years old, they're driving trucks, working. We have adolescents until we're 40 years old in this country. I'm so sick of it. As far as Barack Obama getting his Peace Prize, who cares? I'm sick of it. I really am. I'm sick of the whole crap of politics. Because what they really want is they just want the whole society to go to hell. And we're helping it along. Because what's going to happen here in just very short time, because we're going to all forget, is we're all going to go into our little corners and we're going to vote Democrat or Republican. And what's BS about that is the Republicans are going to come in and say, look, we're the Tea Party people, man. And they're going to be all so proud, and they're going to go right back and being John McCain, Lindsey Graham, Orrin Hatch, all those pitiful excuses for men. And we're going to go, well, we got to choose one instead of standing fast, standing in the gap, and saying, not on my watch. You say, how does this all tie in? It's the same thing that our fathers did. They didn't stand in the gap when all this fag stuff came in. This homosexuality came in. When all of this came in, they didn't stand in the gap and said, no, not on my watch. Just like the church didn't stand in the gap when the Great Society came rolling around and says, no, the government's going to pay for it. They didn't stand in the gap and say, that's fine, let the government pay for it, but the church is still going to provide what is mandated by God Almighty. They didn't. They just went and retreated. And they built churches that are now empty because nobody even knows what a sacrifice means from the blood of Christ. The blood of what? They don't really care. And so each generation from way back 80 years ago has not stand in the gap. And incrementally, that tide has been coming in. And it's going to destroy us. I weep for this country because of it. And then I see these people out here, YouTube land, people around me, my neighbors, and everybody bitching and complaining at one another, throwing darts at each other. And all it does is confuse the situation. Really. Some of the stuff I've seen out there looks like high school. I outgrew that 30 years ago. 30 plus years ago. That was like, oh yeah, that's not even important. I was talking to a friend of mine. I emailed him and I said, man, I'm glad to know you because you could sit by my fire and we could have a good time. And I could watch your back and you could watch mine. I'm not so sure about all these other people. The world is changing. The world is changing. You better get a grip on it. And you better stand in the gap. I'm going to stand in the gap. And I may fail as far as keeping the tide away. And I may get consumed by it. But I'm going to keep my post. I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to do what I can. And all the infighting out there and all the bullshit out there makes us weaker. It makes us smaller men. Makes us like the rest of them that have come and failed. There's not much more failing that can go on before our children's minds are shot completely. Completely. Look at this world. Look how it is. It's changed. We are the last place on earth to go. And we're selling it down the toilet. Not me.